My name is Raj Sodhi, and I'm CEO for called Solbit Group. It's a combination of companies focusing on the transformational change in education. We're taking it from the industrial age to the digital age, and I took a different approach with this presentation. I'm not talking really about the actual product itself. I want to really talk about the journey. I think this was a good segue to what was just said. I mean, I can't promote the Elevate project, but I can say that we have gone through those challenges. We are focusing on not only delivering a hardware solution through a robot, but we are focusing on delivering a combined solution and user experience that includes a robot, embedded AI, and also includes educational curriculum that we're developing with a set of teachers and educators. So it's quite a behemoth, not only from a solution standpoint, but also from a supply chain, manufacturing, prototype, from DVT to EVT to PVT, and just going through the whole process has been a huge, gigantic learning experience. We've seen challenges we've never even thought about. I mean, James is here. He runs product management for me, and it's been a behemoth. And I wanted to talk about really what it takes in terms of self-confidence, motivation, inspiration, and just share some of our journey, because I'd love to hear feedback from you guys. And you know, for a company that's been developing such a, we have a very interesting solution, but we also have a very interesting client. I mean, we're working in partnership with the Ministry of Education, and so we have a massive, massive customer with a very interesting and innovative solution, and we have a small team. So we run into challenges where, you know, money's a problem, you know, not enough talent is a problem, timing is a problem, expectations are an issue. So we run into a lot of the challenges that even small and mid-sized, big-sized companies go through. So I wanted to talk about that, and you know, feel free to answer questions. I love talking. I think this was a time it was a timely talk about this topic, and you know, appreciate you having me here. So you know, we start off with any kind of product, whatever product we want to make or a solution. We start off with a dream. What do we dream? What do we want to make? What do we want to do in life? You know, we worked for big corporations. I worked for Oracle. I worked for IBM. I worked for a lot of large companies. I also worked for Idea Lab in Pasadena. Worked on some amazing consumer-based solutions with Larry and Bill Gross back in the late 90s. We started GoTo.com, which became Yahoo. And we went through some really amazing times and some very difficult times during the 2000 and the 2008 crash. And it makes you realize that I'm 44. I have to realize what I want to do for my own kids and my family, and where do I want to go. And I expect everybody here has that that question they're asking themselves. You know, whether it's a hardware standpoint or a software standpoint, what's the problem they want to solve? What kind of legacy they want to leave? And so when I talk about a dream, my personal dream was I wanted to leverage education so I can be close to my kids, because my kids are so far away. And so I use this as a way, I use technology as a way to communicate with them, but also a way to, you know, learn self-knowledge, learn self-confidence, and really become a global citizen. So for me, I had my dream, and my job was to share this dream with lots of other people. And from lots of people, we started from, I'd say myself, then Mia and James. We had about 4 or 5 people last February. Now we are at, you know, about 50. And going from a small group to a larger group, the challenge gets bigger, but also it's important to share the dream. So this dream then goes into what's the problem? Once you come with a dream, you got to be able to solve a problem around that. If you don't have a problem, you're trying to solve something that nobody really needs. It may be good, you may feel good about it, but what's the problem you're trying to solve? So for us, our focus is in China. I left the US about 9 years ago because I couldn't solve the problems I wanted to solve there. I had to come here and solve it here. And I felt there was a connection, an emotional connection between me and my home now. And I think a lot of my colleagues can also say the same, that there was a connection built, and that's why they're here, because half our team has been foreigners and half has been Chinese. So it's been a cultural learning experience, but it also has been coming down to a massive problem that we're trying to solve. And the problem is how to educate our kids. And it really comes down to what, you know, you can have debates about what education system is good, but really it comes down to how to build a model that kids anywhere can get a good education, not only through the schools, but also through their parents. Whether it's after-school programs or it's other types of outside curriculum, it's an opportunity to change, the way kids learn, to change the world. And the problem we have is as follows. Our problem specifically is we have access to about 160 million children from ages 3 to 12 years old here in China. Okay? Our job is to be able to provide a solution that leverages robotics and leverages STEAM-based learning to build a curriculum that interacts with children in a very innovative way. But that innovative way we had is taking voice or speech recognition and face recognition and computer vision and putting it in a way that makes it intuitive, that the child has a companion, that becomes a interactive, emotional, engaging solution to the child while they're learning, so they can learn English as a second language, Chinese, math, science, whatever the subject may be, and go through a set of paths and then have a set of outcomes that they've got to achieve. And the parents informed about the choices and decisions and results that are achieved during that process. So we have solved it in that way through a lot of interactions we've had both internally, with children, with parents, with teachers, and with government. Now that solves a significant problem because working with the government, we get access to lots of kids, not only just in cities, but in rural areas. So we have a massive problem we've got to solve. So how do you know when we talk about a problem? So I've identified a problem that we want to change the way children learn. I did want to say that we did do experimentation specifically in the US, in Detroit. And I did go back to teachers there. I said, hey, this is the problem we're seeing in China. What kind of problem are you guys seeing here? So I sit in the classroom. I'm watching these high schoolers and these middle school students. And I'd say most of them in this school are from either underprivileged families, or they have families that half of them are incarcerated. They're in prison. And many times the problem is that they're not allowed to take books home. They don't have access to electronic equipment. If they do, they're just watching YouTube or some kind of video that's not relevant to what they're learning. And they don't have any guidance at home, and because they're coming from a lot of broken homes. So, that was something that resonated, but then I spent about 9 months trying to figure out how am I going to solve this problem. And that came into another issue because I have another problem, which was you have a whole political difference in belief over there, and you can work with administrators and politicians and others, but you're trying to run a business, you're trying to build a company, and to just wait and try to convince them that they want to work with you, you may be able to do that with 1 or 2 people, but then the decision maker decides to leave, and now all of a sudden you've got to start over. So we made a conscious decision that the U.S. was not a market that we wanted to tap into at that period of time. So the reason why I say these 2 prime examples between China and U.S. as problems we identified was because our passion was, especially the passion I brought to the table was, I want to reignite the inspiration of learning that kids lose when they come out of kindergarten. They lose creativity, they lose storytelling. I think, Kevin, you talked about Scratch. We leverage Scratch in Shanghai with autistic kids and with normal education students, and they get excited about it. I mean, the demand is so high because the results are so amazing that comes out of it. I mean, I've done TED Talks with kids from Shanghai about kids' experiences, talking about their learning, what they learned with Scratch and programming. The results are amazing. I mean, you get tears coming from teachers' eyes and administrators' eyes, but there's not enough ability and experience to reach millions of kids. So we have this opportunity with the Chinese government to do this. It's just that the problem is so massive. So I think my problem statement is I need help to scale. I need help from investors that really understand the pain in education. Because there's a difference of an investor. There's an investor that has the commercial aspect. They want to make money. But then there's the investor that also sees a social impact possibility here. That they can also make a hell of a lot of money, but it can also make a tremendous impact and be really recognized for that. Because it's really a lot about the ego. So that's some of the challenges that I'm just being very frank, and I said this is very timely for us because I wanted to share that and put it into the community. And I'd love to get feedback and suggestions and advice because this is an opportunity that is it's not just us. It's beyond us. It's really I want to see how we can share this across lots of organizations and make this really happen. Because the key is, if we don't make it happen, if we can't get the help to make this happen, we failed. So I see this as an opportunity that I share the passion that I have and James has and Mia has and my team has with the others here. And we want to build a community where we can share this passion so we can solve this problem. So one of the challenges I face daily, more than daily, hourly, is fear. Okay, everybody has fear. No matter what you say, you have some type of fear. I have fear, and to acknowledge that you have fear is the first most important thing, because fear, it level sets you when you have questions and you have concerns and you have thoughts and you have ideas. Fear is something that you have to engage, and what I like to do is I like to have very smart and intelligent people that around me. So to surround yourself with smart people is important because they share a different perspective. And they can kind of help you in communication and be, and think of how to persuade or how to inspire in different ways. So for me, the way I surpass fear is by seeing it straight in its eye and looking to people to support in efforts I want to proceed forward. So, I've done skydiving. I love skydiving. And you talk about, flying from 15,000 feet out of a plane. I mean, you talk about crazy. I mean, that's what entrepreneurs are. We are pretty crazy. This is my fourth startup. And I've done several pivots. We're potentially in a pivot right now. But the pivot it's a correction. And the correction is recognizing that you have challenges and are able to proactively and positively and optimistically address them. And so this is a form that I'm addressing it. So I'll give you an example. So this is Mike. He's our CTO, and we're working with Flextronics, which is our manufacturing partner. And we have also been working with Jindong, with JD, amongst others. And Flextronics runs an orphanage program in Wuhan. And these kids are about 50% don't speak Mandarin. They speak a local dialect from Sichuan province in the local mountains. And it's very close to where the large earthquake hit. And so the Chinese government has been working with Flextronics to put an orphanage together of about 170 children that come from very poor families. And many of these kids, about 12 years old, or even 13 years old, are married already. And so, I mean, it's surprising, but either you're at home taking care of children at a young age, and you have no education, or you're traded for sex. I mean, that's what's happening in these rural villages. So part of Xi Jinping's poverty eradication program for the next 5 to 10 years is about reaching these people. So we have proactively worked with the orphanages, in this case with Flextronics, to go out there, take our robot, and really see the kids' reaction. I mean, it was amazing. Just thinking about it, it gives you the butterflies, because you look at these kids. They've never seen anything electronic. I mean, they live in a very poor condition. Even though the person who is paying for this is paying out his own money, and there's some Chinese celebrities that have put in money as well, donated money. But it's just phenomenal, because we took them to even a sound studio to record their voices for our speech recognition, and getting them to sing, or not sing, but just to say certain words and sequences with Mia when she was doing this with the kids in the sound studio. I mean, the kids are like as young as 5 years old. They're sitting there, or standing there, and they're talking to a microphone, and they're reading these sentences, and just to see their face light up. I mean, that is an experience by itself. And even that small gesture makes such a big difference in the kid's life. Because then we took them to dinner, and we had this soda. I kind of diverge a little bit, but it's important to recognize. These kids are sitting there having dinner and having a soda. In many cases, we take that for granted, but they've never had that experience before. So to have and share this kind of experience is part of the journey that I wanted to share with you today. It's not just about building a great product. It's about the journey you got to share and experience. And that's really, I think, very overly missed, especially here in Shenzhen. Maybe you see it a little bit in the valley, but we get in this, this really speed, and we forget about that. It's really important, because that's the value we get out of being what we're doing in these kind of startups. That's what it means to be in a startup. That's the experience. So when we take that passion and we see the kids' reactions, whether it's in the orphanage or it's in the city, we used to be at Huachangbei at Saiga Guangchang, and we would bring kids on some of the weekends and bring the kids in for certain experiences. And so we created a set of user experiences, and these user experiences, which James was instrumental for, was about how the child would react to certain situations. And even kids would come up to our robot and just sit there and just tell stories. Even the robot was not responding because we were in a very demo situation at that point. And just sharing, getting the kid in front of the child was just amazing. So it's really important to take that passion, translate it into a solution, and get feedback from the kids, and then resubmit that back into the product development process. Because especially for our type of solution, getting the kids' reaction is so important. It's emotional, so it's not like something you can just set up. It's like it just happens and you capture it. You capture it and you think about it, what you're seeing, because that's really important. That's how you get what a user experience is. It's not about interviewing and taking all these pictures and shots and secretive videos. It's about that instance that you see that reaction occur. That's what that user experience is. That's natural. That's authentic. What do we call it? Authentic. So then, the passion I share with my whole team. This is my team here in Shenzhen. We brought them from Nanjing. We have a team in Nanjing and a team here in Shenzhen. And I like to have these. I think Mia tells me I have too many dinners for these different events like Christmas and Chinese New Year. And James is like, I guess, getting fatter, right? But anyways, I am too. Anyways, so it's really about sharing experience. Because everybody comes from a different walk of life, different village, different city, different country, different continent. But the whole point is everybody's sitting at a table eating together, sharing an experience, sharing stories, what they've experienced by going through this journey. So it's really important that we are, we're all, in each of our companies, we understand that part of the journey of building a hardware or software startup is about the people. And however big the challenges are to overcome, once you overcome them, this is the fabric that keeps them together. That is incredibly important to realize. So what's this say right here? Sorry? I am possible. Right? I am possible with love, okay? So that's about making it, that's about making it, what we say what goes wrong does go wrong, right? But the key is not to be stopped at that position, because many people, they just don't know what to do. They don't ask questions. They're afraid to ask questions. They're afraid to ask help. But because there is nothing that's impossible. We're humans. We can bounce back from everything. I mean, I was in bankruptcy before. I hit rock bottom. But I built myself in China with nothing. And so you've got to start thinking that everything's possible, no matter how rough it gets. Because it's that point when it's really rough, it tests your strength. And when you experience that strength, you can overcome anything. So reignite your passion, whether you're in a relationship or you're having a kid, like I'm having a kid now, and or you're just igniting the fire of what you really want to do. It's really about igniting your passion. So the key is follow through with execution. Too many people just give up. It does get tough, no doubt about it. Everything good is tough, okay? If it's easy, you either did nothing or you didn't make anything out of it or you didn't experience anything. It's a long road, but it's worth it. And yeah, I failed three times before, absolutely. We had one good exit with Yahoo, but failure is part of the equation to success. If you don't fail, you're not trying. And the key is be able to taste success. Whether you have a family, you have a child, you get married, you work in a startup, wherever it is, you graduate from university, don't be distracted by criticism. Remember, the only taste of success some people have is when they take a bite out of you. So it's great to have that taste of success, okay? Because nobody can take that away from you. That's it. Thank you so much.